Hey everyone, welcome back. It's been a while, but this time I got a little breakdown of a few scenes of a short commercial I did for Smashburger. So let's check out the full clip first. Okay, so I shot this with my Zcam E2, the same one I've been using for over 3 years, I think. It's just the 4K micro 4/3 sensor. It's actually this camera right here. I just recently switched over to the Zcam F6, which is the full frame version. But yeah, this camera has been awesome, and I'll still be using it as a B cam. But yeah, on this short commercial, it was A cam, and it's been great. Yeah, so I also used my set of vintage Nikkor lenses, mostly the 20mm, the 35mm, and a little bit of the 85 for some close-ups. So for this short commercial, I was the DP. I worked with a director, a producer, and I had a gaffer for this shoot. And yeah, it was a pretty small crew. I focused mainly on lighting for the wide shots, pretty much lighting the whole space. So then it would just be a matter of moving the camera closer for the inserts and the close-ups. So when you do this sort of lighting for like the whole space or lighting for the wide shots, which I usually do first, sometimes you can take an hour up to 2 hours just to light this first shot, and well, production can sometimes get a little stressed out. But you just gotta be clear and explain to the director or the producer that once you got the lighting done for the wide shot, pretty much all the rest of the shots are gonna be flowing a lot quicker. So you just light for the wide, and you push in the camera for the close-ups, the inserts, and lighting pretty much stays constant during the shoot, unless it's a whole another setup and you gotta do like the reverse shot. Then of course it's another setup. But just working this way, you just got to be clear that you might take a few hours on the first setup, and then everything will just flow after that. Alright, so this is the first shot I was talking about. This is the wide shot. This is where I spent around probably an hour and a half or 2 hours just lighting this first shot. I had the camera on a motorized slider, and it was just pushing in slowly as talent did this like little short intro kind of piece. As for framing, as you can see, we're just flat against the kitchen, which isn't ideal, but this was the configuration of the kitchen, and I couldn't shoot like into the corner or look for any more depth with the kitchen because this is just the way it was set up. So what I was pretty adamant on, talked to the food styler and got all these little foreground elements to put in the foreground, so we could just create this depth. Also, it's nice when the camera is pushing in on a slider to have these like foreground elements, so you can feel like the movement of the slider a lot more. Without it, and being such a wide lens, you just lose a little bit the sense of that movement. For the key light that we can see hitting their camera right side, I had a 6x6 of half grid. And pushing through that half grid were two LED COBs. These were actually pushing from camera right over here through the 6x6, and these were just like some Godox LED, I think they were 150 watt daylight fixtures. They both had the Fresnel attachment, the Aperture 2X Fresnel attachment, which gave out a little bit more of a nice even light and a little bit more of a push. Also, you can see pretty clearly on camera left side, they have this like golden glow that is actually pretty hard. This was coming from a 650 ARRI tungsten Fresnel, just outside of the frame, camera left. And yeah, I had a little bit of diffusion on it, but it was mostly intended to be like a hard rim light on their hair and their shoulder. So yeah, you can see this just on the edge of their faces and talent during the whole video. Background, we had a few lights also. We had these 3 Nanlite Pavo tubes. These are the 6Cs, and these are just stuck up on this metal extractor up here. So yeah, they're just magnets, and I stuck them up behind the extractor up here, and they were just set to like a blue cool tone to get some contrast with the like golden backlight on the actors. So yeah, those are the 3 like columns of light that you see, the blue light in the back. We also got another tungsten fixture. This was another 650 watt Fresnel, giving out like this once again this warm light for the background, and this was hitting a little bit behind this metal freezer or oven, I think it was. And yeah, just once again to create like little pockets of light and contrast. We have some haze, or actually it's kind of like smoke in the background, because the idea is that they're cooking these burgers, so we had this pocket of smoke back here. Alright, so yeah, that was the background, and for the foreground we have another tungsten fixture that you can see hitting these tomatoes, these sauces, pretty much everything in the foreground is hit by another 650 tungsten Fresnel, and this is completely hard without any diffusion. On the actors, I had a little bit of an opal diffusion just to soften it up just a little bit, but on the foreground it was just a straight Fresnel hitting all these vegetables. And as you can see, it creates this nice shadows towards camera. So besides this hard backlight on the vegetables and the foreground, I had a little bit of a fill. This was just a small little another tube light, just filling in the front side, because if not it would have been pretty silhouette-y. And yeah, this is just a little tube light, another Nanlite Pavo tube, filling in the front side of the foreground just a little bit. Lastly, I had negative fill pretty much everywhere, because this was an open building with huge windows everywhere. So basically everything behind the camera were these huge windows where this daylight was pouring in. And when you're shooting these like stainless steel kitchens, it's a little bit of a pain because you got reflections from every single thing. Your lights, windows, pretty much everything is a reflection on these stainless steel surfaces. So I had to put black fabric, 12 by 12s, curtains, black curtains, everything I could get my hands on to block out reflections and just keep like shadows and contrast levels. Because if not, all this would probably be reflections of windows and just shining with light all over the place. We also had a few black flags on this side, just cutting out the light, the key light, the actor's key light from hitting the background and just washing out the image. Alright, so the next shot, which I'm going to break down, is actually the last shot of the video. And it's the same framing, this wide shot. This time it's pushing out, coming out of the products. We have, obviously we have brought down the key light on the actors just way down, right? The idea of the shot is to have this almost like a spotlight on the products. These are the final hamburgers that they cooked. So the key light was that was coming through the 6x6 was brought way down just so we could have just barely a little bit of level on the actors. The background lights were all kept the same, just these columns of light kept the same. The tungsten light on the background was kept the same. We had the same smoke, kept adding more smoke. We had the same backlight on all the products, the foreground, just cutting out this nice foreground objects. And for the key light on this central piece, we boomed up above another 650 watt tungsten Fresnel, and we just completely spotted it, flagged it off just a little bit on the sides and the front so that it would just hit pretty hard and really toppy these hamburgers. And then the final little touch was another small tube light, another pebble light, just set to tungsten, and that was filling in a little bit of the hamburgers on the front side, because if not, we wanted to see like the product pretty clearly, and it's a commercial for the hamburger, so it can't be too shadowy. But yeah, that little tube was filling in the front side of the hamburgers. Sounds simple, but yeah, it took pretty much the whole day to get this commercial. As I said, small crew, and when you shoot food, it takes a long time. It's a slow process. Every single part of the food needs to be perfect, and well, that could take a while sometimes. But yeah, it was fun. Alright, so that's it for this breakdown. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully I'll be back soon with more of these breakdowns. I've shot a whole bunch of commercials in these past few months, and I'd love to share a few with you guys. So I'll see you next time, and thanks for watching. Cheers.